Welcome to the Game Forge Player Spotlight. Today we're going to look at Cameron Smith. He won the Sony Open yesterday. We're going to have to take a look and see kind of what his scoring trends look like going into the Sony Open and how he was able to accomplish that. Interestingly enough, at that tournament in Hawaii, usually about 15 under would have won, and it was 11 under got into a playoff, which means that scoring conditions were more difficult than usual. But typically you would see a lower score required to actually win the tournament. Anyway, if we look at Cam Smith, and take a look at his scoring trends for all of 2019, you'll see a pretty amazing trend. Starting in about late spring, early summer, he's just been on a straight downward trend from above par rounds to down to 4 under par was his average for October, and then leading into this year. So clearly he had a pretty amazing trend. I mean, you don't see this very often. You see trends go up and down, but you rarely see a 5 or 6 month trend straight downward with scoring, where they're getting really down into that range that it takes to win, which is about 4 under. 4 under or better is what it takes to win. Usually between 3 and 4 under average per round will get you top 10, but you got to be a little lower to actually win the tournament. Hawaii, Sony was a little bit of an exception because the scoring conditions were more difficult, but that's, week in and week out, that's what you need. That's what you need to shoot for to be able to win a PGA Tour event. So the question here is, his scoring got better and better and better and better since late spring last year. And the question is why? So the first thing we're going to do is look at what we call in position. So that's how many greens he hits inside 20 feet. So real birdie opportunities. 20-foot putt or less when you hit the green in regulation, and you can see that his score pretty much exactly matches that. He was down, his low was down around 5 in March and April last year. That's not enough to compete on tour. You've got to be above 6 for sure, ideally 7 or higher. And you can see he broke through that range and just kept going higher and higher and higher and higher. So what Cameron is doing here is he's creating more opportunities and obviously capitalizing on and converting for birdie, but his ball striking has gotten dramatically better since spring last year, and it would be interesting to see what he's working on, or who he's working with, or why that happened. As you generate more and more opportunities, obviously you have the ability for your score to go lower and lower. The other interesting thing I saw about, when I looked at that is if you look at his greens in regulation only, they got better the last 3 months or so, but were pretty level before that. So if we break it down to greens inside 40 feet, they're getting better and better. So he was hitting a few more greens, but he was hitting at better proximity. So more were inside 40 feet, more inside were 20 feet. So his accuracy has gotten better and better for the last 6 months. We can also look at the other side of the coin there and say, well, how many birdies is he converting? So this is his birdie conversion chart. So when he hits the green in position 20 feet in, how often does he make birdie on it? And you can see that there's a slow upward trend there, not nearly as dramatic as the score is, but he is converting higher and higher. PGA Tour, you really need to be 60% or higher, and he started off kind of in the 40s and then broke 50s, and now is working his way up to 60. So he's got a double track there where he's hitting more balls in position, more birdie opportunities, and converting them at a slightly higher rate month to month. So he's doubling down on his ability to score there. The other side of the coin is we can look at scrambling. His scrambling is pretty level, scrambling a little bit better since then, but fairly level. So his scoring trend is not really coming from preventing bogeys. It's really come from the offensive, creating opportunities and capitalizing those, converting those for birdie. And we can really see a huge effect of that, especially last week where he won the tournament. Be interesting to see if he continues this going forward, and we will keep an eye on it.